Welcome to Momma-Sota, the podcast where we dive headfirst into the beautiful mess of motherhood. I'm your host, Monica Eickman, and I'm here to keep it real. In a world that changes by the minute, parenting can often feel like an uphill battle. We all want what's best for our children, but what that best looks like varies for every one of us. Momma-Sota is your passport to the unfiltered, unapologetic world of mommy. No perfectly edited snapshots or unattainable ideals here. We're here to share the ups and downs, the triumphs and tantrums, the mess and the beauty of being a mom. Join me as we explore the raw and authentic side of parenting. This is your safe space to vent, laugh, and learn as we navigate the unpredictable journey of raising strong, capable, and independent children for the future. Hey mamas, welcome to today's episode of Momma-Sota. It's me, your host, Monica Eickman. I'm a stay-at-home mom to 3 ever-changing children, and one thing I've noticed across those years is also a shift in everything needing a label. Among those is labeling one's parenting style. And even those types and subtypes seem to change depending on where you look or who you talk to. Joining us today is special guest Britt Berner. She is a working mom to a 3.5-year-old with another on the way. Welcome, Britt, and thank you so much for joining us today, as well as congratulations on your soon-to-be new addition to the family.
Thank you.
So I kind of hinted at wanting to dive deeper into parenting styles and then kind of seeing where that conversation takes us. But before we do that, tell us more about you and your family.
Yeah, so I work full time. I think you said that already. So I do work full time. I have a side hustle. I have a kid. I have a partner. I have all the things going on all the time. So I work full time outside the office. Luckily, it's hybrid ever since COVID happened, which I guess was a blessing.
The perks.
Went to work. Yeah, right. Went into, I know people realize you don't need to be sitting in an office 24/7, it's that you can live life without it. So I'm glad that one perk came out of it.
Yep.
But I run a planning department at a civil engineering firm, urban planning. So I do a lot of transportation plans and stuff like that. I went to get that master's degree right out of undergrad. So I did back-to-back schooling, ended up meeting Archer while I was in my master's program, kept working full-time there. We had our first daughter, Augie, 3.5 years ago, best part of my life. She was born over COVID, so it was completely hybrid for a while there, but once we went back into the office and we were trying to get back into the swing of things, I just wasn't getting the best reception from that job, having been on maternity leave. It was really hard for me to fight back and defend having the same position I had before. So when I had another employer that I had interned at previously reached out to me, I was all aboard to jump ship and go do that. So that has been a much more positive experience. So I'm loving life again, loving working. I have a side hustle that I just do. I started more as a hobby, to be honest. Didn't need it for the
bills, right?
Yeah, I didn't need it to pay the bills, but it definitely helped. But I do dog walking, dog sitting, house sitting, that type of stuff. Again, that's super flexible. You can just take on the jobs that you can do. And Augie has really enjoyed doing that with me. So maybe we can talk about that later too if you want. But I work remote. So my job is out in Burnsville and we're out in the Mound Minnetrista area. So it's about 45 minutes to an hour depending on how much traffic there is. So I do only go into the office 3 days a week. The other 2 days I'm working from home. My team pretty much does the same. And we're pretty much under the mindset if you get the work done, it doesn't matter if you're doing it between 9 to 5 type job. So
that's nice.
That's
super nice.
Loving working with my team. It makes it easy to be the mom that I want to be, and hoping to still be doing the same thing after baby number 2, but we'll see because life kind of flips itself upside down. But hoping to continue living life the way we are for the foreseeable future. But that's awesome. Me.
When are you due, Britt?
July. Yeah. So Augie was born in August. So that was fun. All of the late summer pregnancy moms that may be listening with the swollen ankles and the heat exhaustion, that was a blast. So I'm happy to be out of that a month earlier this time, hopefully.
Well, I don't know. With the winter we had, we might be having.
I know. We'll
see.
see. We'll see. My ankles are still normal size for now, but yeah, that was not the best timing on my part, but it is what it is. So they got to name her August out of it. So everyone's joking. This one's due in July. Is it going to be Julia or what? Or Julius or whatever? No, I think we're going to stray away from naming our kids after their birth months, but
skip that one.
Just
are you having a girl, or do you know?
We are. We're having a girl, so it's hopefully. I feel like I know what I'm doing, but watch, it's just going to be a complete 180. Aggie's so good, I feel like I'm in for a disaster. I'm in for just like the one that's bouncing off the walls, and I feel like I'm due for a crazy kid. So we'll see.
You need more struggles.
We'll see. Yeah, my parenting style is going to need to change, I think, for the second one. We'll see. But
so let's kind of jump into that. One of the weekly features that we do on our social media platforms is the Tips and Tricks Tuesday.
Yep.
And a couple weeks back, the question we posed was, what is your go-to strategy for getting your little ones to bed on time?
Yep.
And you had responded with your routine, and then in which you had said you would describe it as an example of your hands-off parenting style.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, first, can you kind of share what that routine looks like in your household?
Yeah, so we co-sleep. We have for a while. So I'm just, by the end of the day, I am just dog tired myself. So when Augie goes to bed, I pretty much go to bed too, unless there's other stuff I need to be doing. But that's the way we've kind of just grown together in that way. I get home late sometimes. Sometimes we have dog walking that we need to let some dogs out before bed. So usually all three of us, myself, Archer, and Augie, are, home by 9 o'clock. So that's usually when we try to do bedtime. We don't have a set dinner time. We don't have any of that just because our schedule is so variable with, I'm sure others can relate with the sports practices and the music practices and all that going on, whatever it is, speech debate team. Sometimes you're not even home. I mean, Bantam hockey players, they start practice at 9 o'clock at night sometimes. And Archer coached Bantam hockey for a while. So our schedule was so up in the air. We tried to have a goal of when we want to be in bed, but we just kind of let Augie do it. If she hasn't, brushed her teeth or put her jammies on or whatever by 9 o'clock, we'll kind of say, it's bedtime. Look, it's dark out. The streetlights are on is a big one for us. If the streetlights are on, that means it's bedtime. Us like 90s kids. Yeah. Yeah. The parents are like, well, streetlights are on, time to come in, so that's what we grew up with. So it's kind of what we lean on, but she's usually pretty good. She knows what she needs to do. She knows she needs to brush her teeth, take her vitamin, brush her hair, usually do a bath. She knows if she needs to take a bath. Otherwise, if she's stinky, I'll tell her to get in that tub, get her jammies on, go potty, say goodnight to everybody. She knows what she needs to do. Usually if we kind of start it, she'll kind of go through it on her own, but we don't usually try to force it on her because no one's going to do that once they're, in college and whatnot. Who's going to be there to hold their hand, So we just let her do it. If it looks like she needs some guidance, we'll step in. But that's kind of our parenting style with a lot of stuff with this one. I mean, we'll see what the second one brings, but Aggie's been just very independent. We quickly learned, instead of getting up to go to the kitchen, to get her a snack, a healthy snack. We've done putting the healthy snacks at the front of the pantry so she can reach them, get the little plastic bowls so she can reach them and put her own chips in her bag or in the bowl. So she gets her own snacks now. She will, get her own drinks from the sink. She'll go to the bathroom on her own. Big life changer there. But
the dreaded potty training.
It's gotten to we had to get a padlock for our backyard fence because she'll just do her own thing. She'll go and play with herself in the backyard and play soccer. We'll open up the windows and kind of watch her and whatnot. But we have cameras set up around to see that she needs anything. But yeah, she's just such an independent kid. Sometimes I have to like actually ask to play with her. Like, do you want to do a puzzle with me? I want some mom time with you.
You want to hang out?
If you have a minute, I'd like to circle back on the mom thing. But yeah, she's just such a cool kid. She's my best friend. So parenting her has just been really easy. And I know like there's a lot of different parenting styles out there, a lot of different names for kind of the same things. But, you know, passive parenting, you got your helicopter parents, you've got all the different things. And, you know, just as long as my kid is fed, has a roof over her head, she's warm, she's happy, we're all alive and thriving, you're doing a good job. You know, it's being a parent is not easy, and it's going to be different for every family, every kid within the family. So that's kind of what we go by.
Yeah, like you had said, and we all know there's so many parenting styles. And I don't think that before, it's not that there weren't these parenting styles. I just don't think, like you said, everything had a label on it. And you said, you know, there's the permissive. I see the heated conversations on social media with gentle parenting right now. You know, that's the big one. And then you get the argument of them having no rules or children running the parents. And then you know, that's permissive parenting and not gentle parenting. But
yeah, I mean, there's a difference because we get that. I do ECFE classes, which is great. I've learned a lot about myself through those classes and the parent education piece of those. And we do talk about parenting styles quite a bit in that class. And there's a difference between letting your kid walk all over you, which if that's your parenting style, you do you. But there's a difference between, you know, teaching them emotion. I feel like when people see the mom that's okay, you're upset right now. What do we do to fix this? How can we control our emotions? That's not bad. It's teaching kids to be connected with their feelings. You know, it's a good thing to learn that everyone should be learning regardless of their parenting style. But yeah, I don't know. We do a little bit of everything. Sometimes we are just fed up and we get the strict parent comes out with threatening for no dessert or whatever if she doesn't listen. But you know, it's different day by day, minute to minute. So is what it is.
So would you say for your husband Archer, does he also most closely align with the hands-off parenting style?
So we have kind of found a happy medium. He is with her more, so he does not work outside the home. He's retired. He's home with her through the days I'm in the office, and then we both are together here, obviously, on Tuesdays and Thursdays right now. But he has more opportunities to see her struggles and to need to be parented than I do on those days, at least. And, you know, he tries. I'm so proud of him, Monica. When we did potty training, we did, I can't remember what it's called. Big Kids, Little Feelings, that whole, that program. But it was, a lot of the mantras, and I taped them over the walls in the house that said, you know, when you get a funny feeling, you know, go to the potty, and very positive mindset things. I said I was going to take hold of the 3 days of potty training, and of course I had to go, you know, walk a dog for, God forbid, 30 minutes. And I was like, of course, that's the 30 minutes she's going to pee, you know, and have an accident. Of course it is. So I did have cameras set up just because I was curious what I was going to miss when I was gone. I tuned in while I was walking my dog, and she peed on the floor. I watched Archer leave the room, go into the hallway and look at the mantra that I had taped to the wall. He came back in and he said, you know, I can't remember what it is now, but it was like, you felt the funny feeling. Now it's time to listen to your body type thing. Exactly how it was printed on there. But I could tell on the inside, he was just like vibrating with anger. Like, now I'm going to have to pick up this pee and everything, you know, but he knew it was part of the process. So we do try. Of course, that lasted about a week until we were just sick of the accidents. But yeah, we do try, but nobody's perfect, right? So we do have our outbursts as parents when we're just at our wits' end. Both of us do, but we both, and he's even better about it than me, pulling her aside after and just saying, you know, I had emotions, I got upset, I'm sorry. Like, do you ever feel that way too, where you're so upset all you want to do is yell? And makes it relatable on both ends. But yeah, we try to be on the same page. We understand the importances of each of the different parenting styles and how it's not really on us to, you know, do just one of the various types. So we do kind of
There was
go
a
back
show
and
a couple
forth,
years back that I watched. It was called The Parent Test. Had you seen that or heard of it?
No.
So it was reality based, but there was also like psychologists on there, but it was like 12 families. And each week, a couple of them it was considered a competition, but they were like put into these scenarios and like were parenting through their different styles. And then the other parents kind of judged them and then voted one to be like the one kicked off the show, I guess. But they compared like intense, and like I said, these were like the more broken down, because I guess if we go like the main 4 categories tend to be like the authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and neglectful. But these were broke down like intense routine, high achievement, strict, child-led, traditional, things like that. There were more those micro pieces. And I remember when I was watching it, I hadn't really thought about categorizing my parenting style, I guess, at that point.
Yeah.
And so my husband was like, well, which parenting style would you say you are? And I was like, I don't know. I feel like I have bits and pieces of all of them.
That's what I was too. Yeah. And we did a quiz in ECFE that was, you know, how would you react in this scenario? And then you kind of get a point for if you answered A, B, C, or D. And yeah, it was pretty spread out. Most of mine were in that kind of middle ground. But in the passive ones, it was more not so my choice that I'm so passive. It's just Augie doesn't need it. You know, she doesn't need me breathing down her neck all the time. So
yeah,
I don't know. And it was interesting too, Monica, because I brought it up with my dad, and because I was curious, I feel like I was raised pretty passive. I mean, I was a single parent family for a while. My parents got divorced when I was young, and it was just my dad working, and I kind of had to, you know, bum a ride off people. I had to find my way home. I had to do a lot of stuff on my own, you know, learn to cook my meals, do my chores and stuff at a pretty young age. And so I asked my dad if he kind of thought he was parenting on that side of the spectrum, and he actually thought it was more the other side. He said, you know, you were so clingy and all this. I felt like I was kind of overbearing on you. And I was like, okay, well, that is not what I got out of the experience. I felt like I was pretty much alone, but okay. So it's interesting too of what you think you're doing versus what your kid sees too. So I'm curious, when Augie's older, I'll have to ask her a similar question. But yeah,
I think that's super, like you said, interesting and insightful, because I find sometimes even with, like you said, just little things, I'll feel like I'm having a bad moment or a bad parenting day, and I'll try to, you know, later approach the kids and talk to them and see, and they're so, the amount of grace, I guess, that like they'll give, and they're like, no, Mom, it was, you know, that was great, or I had fun, or this was good. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's super reassuring.
Yeah, Augie will do the whole, if she sees Dad, you know, he just put together IKEA furniture. So that'll give you an idea of what we've been doing in our house, trying to get ready for baby number 2. But if you've ever put together IKEA furniture, you'd understand. But he's just getting so heated, and there's no words in the instructions, you know, and Augie just turns and goes, Dad, it's okay. Take a break. Take a deep breath. It's okay. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we are doing a good job at parenting. I need to listen to myself. I need to parent myself, you know? Like, yeah.
You're like, thank you. Thank you for that pat on the back.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for the grace. Yeah, I think it is all about giving yourself grace, too. I like that. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
With ECFE, so everyone, that's the early childhood family education. You have also been the ECFE featured family.
Yeah, I've seen myself in the magazine a couple times. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I love that they selected me as a featured family, but I've been low-key obsessed with ECFE since we started. Of course, I've said it before, but we had Augie over COVID. So we were alone for a lot of the time. We didn't have her around other kids. She didn't see other babies. It was just the 3 of us in the house, as I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. But we kind of thought she was behind, not in a way that scared us yet. It was just kind of frustrating at that point that she, wasn't crawling yet, wasn't sitting up by herself yet. So our neighbors recommended the ECFE class here in West Tonka. And I enrolled her. I want to say she was 6 months old or so when we started. And I kid you not, Monica, the first day we came back, we did the class, we sat with the babies in the circle with all the toys in the middle and they're playing, and Aggie's barely doing anything because she can't even sit up on her own. So they had a little bumble thing or whatever it is for her to sit in. But we come home and she's just sitting and observing. She's always been that way, in music class and other classes, even soccer practice, she'll just sit silently and observe. But then when she gets home, she'll apply it. Mm-hmm. So I swear that was the first moment we saw that, because she's just sitting and watching for half an hour at the ECFE, and we come home, she sits up, she crawls. That same day, I'm like, she just needed to be in an environment where she could learn about it and see other kids doing it. And we were in there too. It could only be one parent at a time back then over COVID, but we were sitting there and observing, how to help them learn and how to, learn that it's okay to not go at it's okay to go at a different pace than all the other kids. But she just needed to be in there and seeing other kids. She didn't have any other siblings. We don't have, cousins around for her to watch and mimic. So it was good to just get her exposed. She doesn't go to daycare. She doesn't do any of that. So it was really good for us to do that. And I have learned so much in the parent education piece too, and just giving myself grace, learning there's 1,000,001 different ways to do this, but we're all doing it, and we're all doing it well, and we're all doing it okay. So it's been great. And I've met a lot of friends there too. A lot of the kids from the same age. I mean, we have parents around the same age, but we've all been through different life experiences too. So I'm learning from them that already have kids older than Aggie. And a lot of the people I grew up with, my friends from, school, college, they aren't at the same life point as I am. They don't have kids. They don't have families, not a lot of stuff that is, a shared journey in those friendships. So I really relied on the families I've met and really bonded with. And ECFE, even though Haggie's not in their classes anymore, we're still having play dates and hanging out, even just mom dates without kids from women and even men. There's dads there too in the ECFE classes. But it's just been one of the most important life decisions I think I've made up to this point was starting ECFE and doing all that through community ed. And I love that it's affordable too. If there's folks that have, income restrictions or they don't think that they could make it happen, they're really good about working with families to make sure that everyone has access to this information and these resources. So that's been really helpful too.
That's wonderful. And one of the things you kind of touched on was just that, the time frame of how our kids develop and change. And I think it's interesting, if we look at the beginning, you're saying Augie's 3.5.
Yep.
But she's getting her own snacks, she's brushing her teeth, she's potty trained, she's putting herself to bed. But then you go back to 6 months, and you're like, I think my child was behind. So it's interesting to say. Yep. I think a lot of people would say, well, I think Augie's doing quite well and actually advanced.
Yeah. And she was slow. Yeah, she was slow to communicate too. It never got to a point where the pediatrician almost did get involved with her speech, but it ended up just being what I said earlier. She needed to sit and observe and kind of learn it in her head by herself for a while before she felt confident sharing it with the world, I think is what it is. But yeah, she's always been, a silent observer that will apply, and she'll apply it to the moon. She will go out there and she went from 0 to 60. She wouldn't talk, and then all of a sudden she's speaking sentences and telling me, Monica, what a fulcrum is, because she watched that on Blaze or whatever TV show. I'm like, oh, okay, now I have a genius, because I thought I was raising, a rock a minute ago, and now all of a sudden I have a Nobel Prize winning 2-year-old or whatever.
Little
So
fulcrum. That's great.
it's so funny. And that's what I tell people. Like, there are a couple folks, in her class or that she knows that would be behind in the typical, typical timeline, but it'll happen. So
I was gonna say, we had a post, I know, on our social media, if you didn't see it the other day, but for everyone else to hear too, it compared our children to popcorn, and was just saying, like, the kernels, all the kernels in the pan have the same oil, the same heat, the same conditions, but they all pop at a different time. And I was like, well, that's really interesting, especially like in your own household. If you were to say, we've got the same parents and we had the same parenting style and they had the same, school and neighbors, but each child is so different, and when they're going to pop, is going to be varied every time.
Yeah, I did see that, and I really loved that. I loved that analogy. Yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing, ECFE, I know it's through the school district, so there are a lot of great resources too, and, paraprofessionals, if you are concerned with your kid and the timeline that they are currently on, they do have a lot of resources, and they are very, very wise. They've been in this field for a long time, and sometimes they, if there's been a parent in there that did have questions about where my child is verbally, they'll bring in a speech professional into the class one day and just to observe and chat with the parents and give them resources. And it's a great place to explore if that's something that your family might be interested in. I'd recommend it 100%.
That's super neat. And like you said, it runs beyond just the classroom, because same thing, my first experience with ECFE with my oldest was before COVID, but I would say my top 3 mom friends came from same sort of thing. It was like the last week of class, and one of the moms was like, does everyone want to write their name and number down on a sheet of paper so we can stay in contact? And everyone's kind of like, oh, thanks for asking. I was kind of thinking the same thing, but nobody said anything. And then it was just a group chat was started from there, and connections have been formed and made. And 6.5 years later, I've got some great mom friends from there.
Yeah, and there's been in the class she's in this year, so for her practice preschool class, half of the parents or guardians in there are actually nannies or even an au pair for one of the kids too. And so if that's the dynamic of your family, it's still 100% an option too. We have grandparents that come and bring their kids, family members, sometimes it is moms and dads, but yeah, we have that this year. There's a group text for all the folks, and it's kind of run by the au pair guy. He's so awesome. Seriously, best childcare person I've ever seen. He's a hoot. But yeah, he's from Hungary, and he's so excited to, be here and be doing his job and meeting people. And they will send out a group text on non-school days just to say where they're going to be. So they might go to Edinburgh Park in Edina, or maybe they're going to the Cube in Plymouth. But they'll just shoot a heads up and see if anyone else wants to join. And it's so fun to have that group of people too, because we had a lot of questions and can help follow up on stuff we've been talking about in class and whatnot too. So it's great social network too.
Right, I would say a social network, and just building that village and that tribe that I don't think is as, I think it kind of, we've moved away from it in American culture a bit, but I think there's also kind of a push or a pull to move back to that. It's just not the traditional village of family. It's who do you want to create that village with?
Yeah, and that's been something that we've had in our family specifically, because I do work full time. I have a side hustle. Usually Aki comes with me on that because it's kind of her business, but with her dogs that she loves walking. But we don't have family. I have a half sister. I love her. She will help as much as she can, but she's down in Lakeville and she works six days a week. My mom is in a nursing home, so she's pretty limited in her care capacities. My dad has been bouncing back and forth between here and upstate New York, where we're from, to deal with my grandfather's passing. He's been doing a lot with that. And Archer has a handful of siblings, but none of them are local, so it's not super helpful in the can you watch my kid for 3 hours type task. But so we've had to rely on friends. Just when we signed up for preschool this last couple weeks ago, I listed our next door neighbor as a pickup person just because she's here, she's around. If we need her, she'll grab Augie. Augie's comfortable with her. She's part of our village, so it's a lot of that. I know in a heartbeat, Joanna would come pick up Augie if she needed it. I know a lot of people we've met through ECFE would be Augie's second mom or second dad if it came down to it and we needed the support. So it's been a great building my village out here in the West Metro.
And you kind of just breezed by and you mentioned it before, but the dog sitting and dog walking, you just kind of mentioned here that's kind of Augie's business or company. Tell us more about that.
She's a little entrepreneur. I had been dog walking through Rover. If you're familiar, there's Rover and Wag and a couple other app services where you can contract yourself out to do that kind of stuff. And I had been doing that. I took a break when I had Augie, and it was also COVID. So people were around their homes. They didn't need people to walk their dogs. They could do it themselves. Yep. But once people started going back to work, when Augie was about 1.5, I started picking it up again as a hobby. It wasn't something that I used to pay the bills, but it did help give us a little bit of padding on that front. But Augie just loved it. They were her dogs, and her cats and whatnot too. And she would be offended if I would go without her. And so I kind of started taking business off of Rover. We actually incorporated under Augie's name. The business is called Augie's Doggies.
That's so cute.
I know. I was like, I have to buy that business name, before it's taken. Yeah, we don't have a website yet because we've just been so busy. We can't have any more business, but there's only 2 of us. Well, 1.5 of us since she can't drive. But I thought, this would be a great opportunity for her to learn what it's like to have responsibility, to learn what it's like to earn money, what the value of $1 is. So we've just been slowly teaching her those principles through this business. So it's hers. She has a contract. It follows all the child labor laws and whatnot. So don't come after me, IRS. But she does it all above belt. She pays her taxes on it. She does everything. So we did that for the first time this year. But yeah, she has been learning, and she knows if she doesn't want to do it, she doesn't have to do it. Nobody's going to come and drag me into a car to go to work in the morning. If I don't want to go, I'm not going to go. Same with her. I'm not going to force her ever to do it. But she knows if she comes along, she makes money. And I only will give her money out of it if she's actually doing it.
Sure.
Which, now my pregnant butt is not going to get on the ground and play with cats and dogs anymore. That is Augie's job. No, I sit with my feet up. When we do our house sitting, I sit with my feet up on the couch watching Netflix.
Gotta watch
Augie's
the
one. Yep, Augie's the one playing with the dogs and playing tug of war and all that. And we don't take on dogs that we know are not good with kids for that reason. Because I know Augie's going to be coming with me and stuff like that. So she loves it. Those are her animals. And we've also, unfortunately, had to teach her about loss because she does get very close with her clients. And we've lost 2 now, not while we were watching them. They did not die on our watch, but
not your watch. Augie's doggies is still
right. We were still 100%. But yeah, we've had to teach her because she wants to know, why we drive by Coda's house now and it's just Roxy. It's not Roxy and Coda and stuff like that. And so she's 3, so she's barely grasping on. But yeah, so we've had to teach her, other life skills we didn't think we would have to teach her this young. But it's just been a good, well-rounding experience for her. And she'll have a little nest egg coming out of it. She's got, money going in every month that she helps out, going into a savings account for her. And when she's a little older, we'll teach her, about saving and giving and spending and all that. But right now it's just almost accumulating as if a college savings account would, but it's in an account building interest right now. So yeah, got some big life skills.
Yeah. And I would say the important part, as you mentioned, is that she might not be grasping all of the concepts, but the point of of any lesson really, or where we start, is it's just the building blocks, to put everything together at one point. I'll say something to my youngest, she's only 1.5 years now, but I'll say something to her, and my husband sometimes will say, she doesn't understand what you mean, or she doesn't know what that is. And I go, well, she also didn't know what a shoe was until I said shoe to her and picked up her shoe. I was like, so she's not going to learn it if I don't say it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's kind of, teaching them, being upfront about what it is, and not trying to call it something else, or like waiting until the right time to introduce them to it. They'll grasp on when they're ready to be introduced to the concept. It's a lot of that too. But yeah, she really loves it. She's got her own clients too that they hire her to do it. Like our neighbor Chip has a big Newfoundland. So if you've ever seen a Newfoundland,
oh geez,
I mean, you could put a saddle on that thing and put Augie right on his back.
Not a dog.
But yeah, and so we're always there. We're never gonna let her do it alone, But yeah, he goes out of town for business or whatever, and Augie will step over a couple times a day, or like let him out over lunch sometimes around her. So her clients are kind of right in our immediate neighborhood here, but yeah, otherwise I drive with her, and she does kind of the rounds with me and makes money doing it. But yeah, our neighbor calls her the CEO of the neighborhood, so she's making a name for herself.
Yeah, right. Even just what you're doing with her business fits right into like that hands-off parenting that we started with. Was that something that you thought of, like either before being pregnant or during your pregnancy, that like, did you think of like parenting styles and how you wanted to be, or is it something that just kind of folded?
Not really. I knew I didn't want to be that quote unquote helicopter parent, right? Because that's just not how we were raised. I mean, we were back in the day. I mean, times are different now, but we would get kicked out of the door in the morning and say, don't come back till the streetlights are on, right? So that's what I was familiar with, and that's what I thought I could replicate the easiest, I guess. But that does come with the cons as well, right? So there are things that I didn't get growing up that, not that I wish I had, because I had a very blessed and a very fortunate childhood with a dad that loved me a ton, but I knew things I kind of wanted to borrow from, my own experience versus what I saw my friends getting from their parents, and I kind of just wanted to piece together my own parenting style, the Berner style, if you will. But
you're gonna coin a new one.
Yeah, the one that's kind of changing every day. But it just, nothing is easy. Nothing is set in stone. It's not going to be the same for baby number 2. I know it. Like, it's just giving each kid what they need to do their best and be okay. And I mean, I have a friend that just had, she's older. She has a daughter that's in college now, who was unfortunately in a car accident with 3 other people and in an Uber, and her 3 friends died. Kana is luckily survived, had some trauma and some surgeries that came out of it. But I was just like, I don't know, Chrissy, how are you not like by her side all the time? It already happened once. It could happen again. You almost lost her. Like, I would just be breathing down her neck. Like, are you okay? How are you doing? Like, all like everything all at once. I don't know how she hasn't moved to be in her college dorm, just like, and she's just, she is more, she said she's more, some days, more of a quote unquote helicopter-y and making sure she's okay, and they're at least talking every day and whatnot. But it just, I mean, you could go into it with one parenting style and something happens and it changes the next day. You never know. But oh man, I don't know. I just wing it. That's kind of my parenting style, just winging it.
And I was going to say, we can see there's just a vast array of parenting styles and labels, and there's a lot of
the labels. Those drive me nuts.
Differences. Right?
Yeah.
We don't have to just be in one category or be stuck in one.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, every scenario is going to require a different parenting style. I mean, I threatened Augie this morning, that if she didn't get dressed, because her thing is pouting lately. She's not so much a temper tantrum girl. She will just go pout in a corner, which drives me nuts. But today, I mean, it's time to get ready for ECFE, and she's just pouting on the bed. I'm like, well, then you know what? I'm gonna drag you naked to the car. Like, we're just gonna go to school naked then, and then you're gonna get made fun of by your friends. But that was my parenting style this morning, was threatening a naked 3-year-old to get in the car. Otherwise, she'd be naked all day. So that was my parenting style this morning. But, you know, sometimes it works. Did she get dressed? Yeah, she did. When I threatened to take her out the front door with no pants on. But I was not actually going to do that. But we got there, we got to school. It's been a fine day so far, but that was our current struggle today. So, you know, my parenting style is just winging it.
Yeah,
maybe we're naked, maybe we're not.
The honesty. I love the honesty, because I think sometimes we, like I said, especially again with social media, we see, you know, these what appear to be, you know, perfect parents in their perfect households. And I don't think that's the truth. And then we have, you know, moms striving for that and then just tearing themselves apart because that's not attainable.
Yeah, I've seen, the social media drives me nuts. Don't even get me started on that. But I do know a family that had that. You know, you look at their Facebook or their Instagram or whatever, and it looks so perfect. They're in, you know, their ice skating lessons, and you know those are expensive, so they must be doing really well. And their kid does all this, and it's just this picture perfect family. But I knew her, and I knew that, like, she's going through a nasty divorce and stuff like that, you know, outside of the pretty picture that's painted online. And it's just, you got to be careful and take what you see with a grain of salt, because you know, how many pictures did they take before they got that perfect one, and what's really going on. And I'm not huge on social media. I don't post. I usually just go on to connect with folks on Messenger, but it drives me nuts, Monica, this whole social media.
Yep, okay, that's where the whole idea with the Momma-Sota kind of stems from, is I'm home, I'm doing whatever, and I'm seeing these things, and I'm like, hold on. And then, like you said, I know people who are trying for that, and they're so upset with themselves, and I'm thinking, like, yeah, girl, that's not real. Like, let's show you the flip side. Let's get honest with all of this.
Oh God, yeah. But I do like the fact that it has helped us keep connected, especially over COVID, when it was so isolating, to be able to see people, and there are benefits to it as well. And I've learned a lot of things. I just make sure what I learn, I do my research and make sure that I'm doing it because I want to do it and I know what I'm doing, and not because I saw someone online doing it and they know what they're doing, type thing.
Yeah. No, so I would say you've got a handle on this, Britt, and you are ready for baby number 2.
Yeah, we'll see. We are so totally winging it though. Like, we got rid of everything after Augie. We gave it all, pretty much everything, on Buy Nothing. And, you know, because the first baby, you have the baby shower that has everything, the clothes, the diapers, the books, the toys, the everything, which was all great. But we realized we didn't even use 80% of it, you know, and we co-slept, so we didn't even need a crib. So we're not even getting a crib this time around. We're just, you know, we're living month. I'm like, okay, well, we at least need a carrier to get her home from the hospital. So let's make sure that happens. One of her ECFE, actually, her friend, Augie's friends from ECFE, Kenny's mom, had extra ones she was trying to get rid of. So win-win. But yeah, we're just making sure she has diapers and clothes. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, we're just kind of, we're winging it.
I like it.
In more ways than one, but yeah, the co-sleeping helps. But
yeah. Well, any closing for our listeners today?
I would just say, you know, it's a really good discussion. Whatever you're doing, as long as your kid is living, you know, they're eating well, they have a roof over their head, they're happy at least half the time. You know, they're not always going to be happy, but you're doing fine. There's no right way to do anything. There's no right way to do anything within the same day. You know, it's just, reach out if you have questions to folks that have done it before. Use your ECFE or other parenting resources if you want to, but as long as you're getting getting your life done. You're taking some time for you as well. You're doing fine. If you're above water, you're doing just fine. Your kids are going to be just fine. Even just the anecdote I said earlier with my dad raising me a way he thought he was raising me isn't what I got out of it. So you don't even know. Even if you spent so much time worrying about if you're doing it right, your kid's probably getting something completely different out of it. So we're all living this world. The world's going around. We're doing just fine.
I love it. Well, Britt, thank you so much for sharing with us your parenting, what's going on in your life, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And I think as we can see, whatever the approach is, we're striving to raise, like you said, happy kids, healthy kids, independent kids. So, whatever your style might be, until next time, everyone, just keep doing your best.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me on this roller coaster of momming right here on Momma-Sota. I hope you enjoyed our candid conversation about all things parenting, where perfection is left at the door and real life takes center stage. Stay tuned for more heartfelt, unfiltered discussions in the next episode. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review Momma-Sota on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us. Until next time, this is Monica Eickman signing off. Keep rocking that mom life, and remember, you've got this.